Welcome to Friday Morning Dharma. Um, for those of you who are joining us, I'll give you a little preview of our class this morning. We will begin with a 15-minute meditation, which I'll guide us through. And then after that, we will embark into a 15-minute Dharma talk. Um, it's I'm especially enthused this morning since we're starting in kind of a new direction with this Monday, Friday class, which I'll talk about as we get into the talk. For now, why don't we go ahead and settle into a comfortable meditation posture? Please take care to ensure that your spine is straight and relaxed. We can be facing straight ahead with our head tilted slightly forward. This serves to bring our spine perfectly into alignment. Our mouth is closed, our jaw is relaxed. And if you haven't already done so, please go ahead and softly close your eyes. And to begin, I'd like you to please bring your awareness to the exhalation of your breath. And very gently, allow your exhalation to be just a bit longer and a bit more pronounced than your inhalation. If you'd like, please feel free to experiment with pausing briefly at the bottom of each exhalation. This meditation technique will allow both your physical body and your mind to start to settle and to rest, to become quiet and still. Now is not the time to reflect on events that have occurred in the past. Those events cannot be changed, undone, or recreated. Nor is this the time to speculate about events that may or may not occur in the future. The future is unknown to us at this time. Now is the time to be fully present here in this moment. Now is the time to give yourself full permission to enjoy engaging in a practice that's going to bring you a peaceful state of mind, thus creating the causes for you to experience a peaceful world. There is an aspect of the body that is referred to sometimes as the inner body. Some schools of meditation refer to it as the subtle body. And by coming into contact with your inner body, you can make manifest a more supple, tranquil state of awareness. So to accomplish this, I'd like you to please draw your awareness inside of your body and become aware of sensations. These sensations may start in your hands and your feet in the form of a tingling, perhaps a lightness, perhaps a heaviness, perhaps a pulsation. No analysis is necessary. There's nothing to figure out. Just be the silent observer of these sensations and allow a more tranquil, awakened state of awareness to emerge. It may be that the sensations begin to travel up into your arms and your legs, perhaps into the region of your chest, perhaps into your face and your cheeks. If this is your experience, this is perfectly fine. It may be that the sensations remain in your hands and your feet. If this is your experience, this is perfectly fine as well. To inform your meditation, you may find it beneficial to bring to mind the image of a mountain. The mountain is balanced, grounded, and stable. Day after day, year after year, the mountain simply observes silently. Snow may fall on the mountain, accumulate, and then disappear. A nearby river may rise and then recede. A small animal may run across a fallen log and then jump into hiding. The mountain simply observes silently. No judgment, no labeling, no comparing, no expectation. For the last few moments, please be like a mountain as you silently observe sensations within your own body mountain. Now, now please gently redirect your awareness. Become aware again of your physical body and allow your breathing to become less shallow. Taking deeper and deeper breaths, become aware again of the garments of clothing resting on the surface of your body. Become aware again of your surroundings inside the room that you're occupying. Deeper and deeper breaths, becoming aware again of the world that exists outside of the room that you are occupying. Become aware again of clouds, of blue sky beyond the clouds, of limitless space beyond the blue sky. And we dedicate all of the positive energy from this morning's meditation to world peace. May all beings soon come to enjoy an abundance of pure air and water, delicious, nutritious food, safe, warm, dry, affordable shelter, and comfortable, functional, attractive clothing. And with everyone's basic needs met, may we all enter and progress on wisdom paths that lead to complete liberation from all forms of suffering. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Thank you. Thank you, and welcome back. Whoops, no camera. Let's see what we can do about that. There we go. There we go. There we go again. We'll see what we can do here. Just no, whoops, let's try that. Sorry, you guys. Oh, there we go. I think we're all right. Don't touch anything. It's it's kind of not as high a quality a camera, but I guess it'll have to do for now. Um, welcome to this first class in our in this new direction that we're taking with our Monday, Friday classes. As I think most everybody knows, by popular demand, we are going to, starting today, make these classes a little bit more Buddhist oriented, more Buddhist focused. We're going to begin with a discussion of the life of Buddha. And then we'll move into a discussion of the Four Noble Truths, which is the first teaching that Buddha gave subsequent to his awakening. And then after that, we'll get into something called the Lam Rim meditations, the 21 Lam Rim meditations, the 21 sequential meditations, which constitute or comprise the stages of the path to full awakening. So, really looking forward to it. I'm so happy that you all have decided to join for this new journey. It is customary at this point when starting in a new area of study and practice to identify and give homage, if you will, to the source of the teachings. And the primary source of these teachings are from the Kadampa school of Buddhism. Kadampa, Gelugpa, these two terms are synonymous. The Kadampa school is of a Tibetan lineage. And as I say that, my teacher would probably reproach me if he learned that I was referring to it as a Tibetan tradition, because he's very clear in not wanting these teachings to sort of be confined to or identified as being like exclusively a Tibetan phenomenon. They're sort of like they're wisdom-based teachings that transcend geographical boundaries, that transcend everything. So I think he would say, in fact, he has said many times, let's not call it Tibetan Buddhism, let's just call it Kadam Dharma or Kadampa Dharma. And I referred to it as Tibetan initially, just so everybody kind of knows what we're talking about. And you guys don't think I'm making stuff up. Um, so Kadampa Buddhism. There are four schools of Buddhism, of Tibetan Buddhism, or the Buddhism that has its roots in Tibet. The majority of what we're going to learn is the Kadampa, from the Kadampa lineage. And I should tell you that somewhere along the way, about 15 years ago, I modified my meditation practice, the technique that I used to meditate, and drew from another Tibetan school called the Kagyu tradition, Kagyu, Kagyu, Kagyu. Um, and that's the type of meditation that we're going to be doing in these classes. Both meditation techniques, the Kadampa and Kagyu, end up in the same place, but they arrive there through slightly different means. And over the course of the upcoming weeks and months, we'll learn a little bit more about what those distinctions are. So just kind of full disclosure of the source of these teachings, and what we can look forward to in the future. Um, the life of Buddha, such a great story, such an inspiring, beautiful story. Um, the man that we refer to now as Buddha was born, as I mentioned in Monday's class, Siddhartha Gautama, born in 624 BC, so long time ago, 2100 years ago or so. No, wait, we're 2100, 2700 years ago or so. Yeah, long time. Siddhartha was born into a family of royalty, had everything that he wanted. His father was kind of the ruler of the clan, the Sakya clan or Shakya clan, depending on how one pronounces it, of the Shakya clan in India. And actually, this is just at the very beginning of the story of Buddha. We receive a teaching on impermanence. Buddha was born and lived in a part of India that is now part of Nepal. So, like, even countries are impermanent, as demonstrated by the life of Buddha coming straight out of the gate. Fascinating parenting technique Buddha's father um, uh, offered or imposed, subjected the Buddha to. I'm not sure what. He wanted to make sure that Siddhartha led a very, very sheltered life. Tried to keep him within the walls of the palace for as long as he possibly could. One, because he loved his son, but two, because simply stated, he didn't want Siddhartha to leave the palace, literally and figuratively. He kind of, beautiful gardens. Just imagine the most opulent palace in India that's ever existed, like on par with the Taj Mahal, I would think. And that was Buddha's home, or Siddhartha's home, growing up. Anything that he wanted, service, servants, delicious food. Never had to leave the walls of the palace, because he had everything he needed. So his father thought Siddhartha would think, living in this sheltered, cloistered, insulated environment. Well, it so happens that at one point, Siddhartha left the walls of the palace. And there are different versions of the story at this point about how he came to leave the walls of the palace. Some say that he had sort of like a servant friend that sort of like led him out and led him astray from this sheltered, structured existence within the palace, his father's palace. Some versions of the story say that Buddha left on his own, just kind of wandered out almost by accident and saw a very different world than what he had experienced and was used to within the walls. He found out, lo and behold, that there are things like sickness and aging. And even on one of his ventures out of the walls of the palace, he saw a corpse. He saw that death is a thing. I mean, Siddhartha's father even made sure that young, beautiful people were the only ones inside the palace, in the palace walls. So the Buddha would have this like really, I don't know, unrealistic and Pollyanna sort of perception of the world that exists. But he goes out and he sees these things like aging, sees old people. He sees old people who are sick. He sees evidence of death, and just totally, totally mind-blowing experience for him. Now, some of you may be thinking, okay, so he hadn't been exposed to sickness. Is that to say that as a child he never got sick? Yeah, and never sort of with regard to aging as he was growing up, never sort of like realized, oh, whereas before I was 2 years old, now I'm 5 years old, aging is a thing. So my sort of interpretation of this isn't that he was completely and utterly oblivious or unexposed to sickness and aging, but he was not exposed to it within the context of what we call samsara, cyclic existence, namely that aging gives rise to sickness. Like there's a causal relationship. Aging gives rise to sickness, and sickness gives rise to death, and death gives rise to rebirth, which results in aging, sickness, death over and over and over. I think this is the context of life, of this is the context of aging, sickness, and death and rebirth, as it were, that the Buddha, that Siddhartha heretofore had not been exposed to. This is what is referred to as samsara, aging, sickness, death, rebirth, aging, sickness, death, over and over. Samsara translates as cyclic existence. Okay. So in addition to these components of cyclic existence, there are other forms of suffering that Siddhartha became aware of. Having to encounter what we don't like, having to be parted from what we do like, and failing to satisfy our desires. And it's at this point that I would invite you, one of the most compelling aspects of the Buddhist path when I was first introduced to it was the Buddha said, after he had attained his awakening, he said, don't adopt these views and practices just because I recommend them and I'm the Buddha or a Buddha. Try them out for yourself. See how they work. Yeah, don't take my word for it. There's no room here, as we've talked about, for blind faith. Check it out. See if it works. Why not starting with these forms of samsaric suffering? Like, can you relate to these notions of having to encounter what you don't like, having to be parted from what you do like? I mean, of course we do. Of course we've experienced these things. This is no surprise to anybody. But to what degree are these experiences pervasive in your life? This matter of aging and resultant sickness. And maybe, clearly, none of us participating in this class have experienced death firsthand. We're still alive. We're still, as one of my bosses would say, above ground and kicking. But we've all had loved ones who have passed. So we're familiar with the suffering of death in that context. And then the matter of rebirth. Rebirth, and we've talked a lot about it before. I don't have time to go into it now, but I think that's a good place for us to break is with regard to kind of the teachings that the Buddha offered. Don't adopt them, these views and these practices, just because he said it's advisable to do so. Check it out for yourself. Personalize these teachings in this practice and see how it works. Yeah. Okay, Monday's class, Siddhartha leaves the palace like forever. So stay tuned. Come back. Come back Monday. We've got Medicine Buddha meditation tomorrow from 8:30 to 9:15. I hope you can make it or consider making it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Great day. You're so welcome.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If anybody needs to go to Avalon, they'll order it for you.